You don't want to break too many things, but if you're not breaking some stuff from time to time, I would say you're a little too comfortable. You got to get outside of that comfort zone to really hit a proper flow state, I would say.
This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 186. I'm coming to you live backstage from the Magic Kingdom. Just got done working in the hot shop. Might hear some weird noises, some little trains in the background, maybe some babies crying here and there. But I'll make this short and sweet. I just want to let you know that today's guest is a best of featuring Paul Stephan, also known as Micro. And Micro and I got into a pretty awesome conversation on here. A lot about the flow state and creative ideas and thoughts and processes, and just just really fine-tuning your work as well. He got to a point in his career early on where he felt like he was going to be ready just to give up, and we're all glad he didn't, because his techniques and his ideas and concepts have inspired a whole generation of glass artists out there with in terms of Milli work and patterning and just concepts in your glass itself. And this is beginning his 8th year, I believe, in the Mario series that he's been doing. And he's literally recreating each level of the game, which is, conceptually-wise, is pretty amazing. And his wife's a big, intricate part of that process as well, for helping him out with layout, design, and drawings and stuff. So we get into a lot of that conversation. We also get into the flow state talk, too. And in the show notes, I have a link you can go check out, really to understand in a visual sense on where the flow state happens. It's all about the idea of having an understanding of what you're doing, being focused, being creative, and it all just coming together in a specific zone that is a real thing. And it's a great place to be when it comes to being creative and making things in glass and just in general in art. But also, before I forget to let you know, Mountain Glass right now for all of February, they've got some pretty crazy sales going on right now. Right now they have their Big 3 sale, they're calling it. And it's 33% off Troutman, North Star, and Glass Alchemy. Basically, for North Star, you can get their rods, Fritz, First, and Odds at 33% off. They do have certain things that are not included in the sale, including seconds. But I'll have all this in the show notes, and you can also go to mountainglass.com for further information. So they have the North Star, First, Frit, and Odds, 33% off. They have also their Troutman glass, tubing, rod, Fritz, First, Odds, and seconds. Glass Alchemy's sale is rod, Frit, First, and occasionals. So the only one that doesn't have the seconds available in this sale is North Star. But again, just go to mountainglass.com for all the more information on there. And all you have to do is put in the coupon code BIG3FEB, BIG, B-I-G, 3 February, FEB, in the checkout, and you'll get 33% off. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds out there, they have their Fetre rod sale right now at 35% off. All you have to do is put in the coupon code of Fetre. That's EFFETRE. And they also have some kiln sales right now. They have their Paragon F120 front-loading kiln. It's a great kiln to use. Right now it's on sale. Normally it's $1,674, and they've got it down to $1,340. And then remember, basically what you're doing when you get these sales is you're getting shipping for free is what it comes down to, because shipping's about $250 freight to have a kiln shipped. And they also have a Genkin AF3 digital kiln with a 4-inch flip door. It's like a little front flip door. Normally these are priced at $925, and they've got them for $739 right now. And also their torches are on sale. They've got a Nortel Red Max. It's about $200 off. And then they've got the Carlisle CC rack and pinion. I use a ball and post myself, but the CC is the shiznit. Right now they're normally $1,510, and you can get running now for $1,359, which is a hell of a deal. And shipping on these guys is not that much at all, so you're really getting a good deal. Back when I bought my Carlisle, I'm going 19, so I've had my Carlisle for 18 years now. I paid $1,200 for it, so it's good to see that the prices are going up on these things, and they do hold their value. Definitely something pretty cool. So don't forget, all orders that are received by 2:30 p.m. Eastern on normal business days are guaranteed to ship the same day, or your shipping charges will be refunded. It's like one of their guarantees. So get your orders in before 2:30 p.m. on Eastern, and you'll have it shipped that same day. So anyways, before go any further and keep rambling, I'm going to rock and roll out of here. Just to go to mountainglass.com for all their sales and ads and any questions you guys may have, including keeping up with all the new products they got coming in. And don't forget also to go to iTunes, leave us a review. If you have any kind of other podcast catcher app that you use, there's ways to go on to that app in particular and leave a review for us. Just helps to expose the show and gets us out there for the rest of the world to know we exist and our community of amazing, awesome artists. And you can hear one of the shows going on right now. It's Mickey's Dream Show. It's a pretty cute show. Let's see what else. But also, for those that are interested in helping to sponsor the podcast itself, we have our Patreon page set up for all you wise asses out there. And all you have to do is go to patreon.com/wiseguyradio, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month, and that will help this show out tremendously. Every little penny goes towards the sales of our show, or the help, basically. Whoa. Tried covering my mic to mute that a little bit. Some fireworks going off. But yeah, so those that are helping out, I definitely appreciate it. And if you sign up and become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month, the first time you sign up, you'll get something free from me as a thank you. And then eventually we're going to be doing some exclusive stuff for those that are in the $5 a month and more range. Some mastermind groups, some free video tutorials, all kind of good stuff. So until next time, I'm going to get the hell out of here, go get ready for my demo, and we will be in touch. Again, enjoy this episode with Paul Stephan, a.k.a. Micro, and we will talk to you on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. Love you guys. Take care. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hey, Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. Thanks for coming on. And you're in between going to Vegas trips here. Crazy man, flying all over the freaking country, dude. Holy shit. So,
yeah, it's a double Groundhog Day Vegas trip.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's you got to love Vegas a little bit, but I don't know. I'm starting to lose love for it. Going there enough.
Yeah, man. I've never
loses its glimmer.
Yeah, dude. I've never been there before, but I've heard enough about it to where I want to stay away. Except that I want to go for the trade shows, so I'm going to be heading out there.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it a lot more tolerable, I got to say. All the people that are there because of it, and, all the parties and everything that happens around the trade shows make it super tolerable, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's an awesome party city. I just, you go there enough, and it definitely burns out after a while. I think about 3 days is perfect for me. I think this next trip is 3.5, so it should be a perfect in and out without too much brain damage in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely want to cover that here too, talking about doing the trade show circuit for sure. But yeah, man, definitely stoked to have you on. I've been a fan of your work for a long, long time, and I know yourself and your work that you have has been an inspiration for our industry for years and years and years, and definitely stoked to have you on here, dude. So definitely pumped.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, hell yeah, anytime, man. And before I get too all fanboyish and distracted here, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with giving us some insights on where you got started and who introduced you to the flame.
Well, let's see. I first started. I got some basically like 5 days worth of lessons from Jerry Kelly back when he was living in a little A-frame out in the woods, Massachusetts, and he just basically taught me, the inner secrets of wrap and rake and how to fume and all that kind of stuff. And oh man, it's so funny. I remember at the time Inside Out was like so hot that night, and he had some stuff there that was inside out. And I was like, yeah, what's up with that? Like, how do you do that? Show me how to do the inside out stuff. He was like, look, I'm just going to tell you right now, it took me 3 years to figure that out. There's no amount of money you could ever pay me to teach you how to do inside out. And like, oh, damn, that's the tech right there, And I went home and talked to some buddies of mine that had seen other glass blowers do it. And they're like, yeah, you just like open end like a bell, and then you like put a cigarette butt in the end, and then draw some shit on the inside, and then like close it. So I did it, and of course that's how you do inside out.
Yeah.
Called Jerry back like the next week, and I was like, yeah, man, I described the steps. Like, oh, you son of a bitch. So I got turned on to the inside out right off the bat, and from there I kind of just I have to say just stumbled through it, honestly. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so there's not like a huge heady scene here like in Oregon or something where there's just like thousands of people doing this. I mean, there was nobody, and I mean nobody out here. So no lessons, no insight, no anything. So until I guess you could call it the internet age of glass came about, I was just kind of out here by myself. So I just kind of like pick up techniques here and there wherever you can. And Devin Somerville was at the time living in California, I think. Yeah, in Sonoma. And I went out and visited him, and he kind of put me on to a bunch of different games for techniques and, showed me how to do reticellos and switchbacks and stuff like that. And I managed to talk him into coming back and opening a gallery and a shop with me. And he and I opened this place called Ring of Fire. That's a whole other side story, but
yeah.
We blew glass for a long time, and kind of through having that place, I feel like, the gravity around it just attracted other glass artists to us. And, we started networking and started getting out and doing shows and stuff like that. And that's kind of when I feel like I spread my wings, is kind of when I started to meet people and pick up like other techniques and, outside of just like technique, just business stuff too. So it took me a while to get going, but I basically started in 2001.
Okay, yeah. Is that when you went full time, you're saying, or did you pick it up before that?
Yeah, pretty much from late 2001 on. I was building computers at this place in Milwaukee. It's like a local chain spot. I was working at their corporate headquarters building computers for them, and kind of started to hustle pipes on the side, and was like, man, this is like, I could make nearly $20 an hour doing this if I work hard.
Right.
I think I might, give this a shot. And sure enough, did it, and it worked. And a lot of that was just like, like very grassroots level hustle back then, which was like, I'm going to make 51s and go poach this festival with this gun case and try to come up on a couple $1,000. And, more often than not, it worked. Like sometimes you got beat or you got ripped off or cases taken by security, but like persistence paid off in those days. You used to be able to do that kind of stuff, and nobody had glass either. So it was, actually like a hot commodity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that was like, festival hustle was kind of where I got my initial seed money to build, like a first proper studio, which would have been that Ring of Fire place. But yeah, I've changed through a lot of studios. Current one is a converted school building where I live with my wife and my son, and my dad lives downstairs. He's blind. We kind of look after him a little bit.
Huh.
And then we've got the race car shop here and the glass blowing studio, and all in kind of one combined scene, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, dude. Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely want to get into the racing talk a little bit later on for sure. Talk about that racing stuff.
For sure.
Because I think it's definitely it's intriguing.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, dude. So, do you find though, like going from the computers, like all that technical shit, and like how much detail and focus you have to have with that kind of stuff? Do you find like that kind of helped you transition into the glass a little easier because you're able to really do the same thing in a sense with your glass?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have an easy start with glass. Like, everybody's different, but I would say like my first year was extraordinarily difficult. Like I wanted to quit so many times during that year. Just really, really hard for me. And I remember being like, in the beginning, just like, fuck this, and just throwing shit against the wall. God damn it. And, like all the time, and just getting super pissed off. And like over time, I like taught myself to chill out and like, okay, just the crack, just work through it and blah, blah, blah. And, like, honestly, I don't think I was very patient when I started with glass, but certainly glass has made me very patient.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I almost never even swear in the shop anymore. Well, like in anger, at least, only enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I certainly never throw anything against the wall or anything like that anymore. I had cracked a piece last night and was like, oh crap, here we go. And, you work through it and save it. It's, it's like they say, it's not what you can make, it's what you can fix.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Very, very real in the glass world.
Yeah, it's true. And I was kind of like wonder how many of the collectors and the people that buy glass actually understand that a lot of the things that they buy have cracked in the process, but you just have no idea because of the technical side of cleaning that shit up. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it doesn't always work out where, sometimes you can fix a piece and, not see, you can totally never tell that it was fixed and it's great, good to go. Like, for example, something that's like made out of a solid color, mm-hmm. especially translucent. You can reconnect that, no problem, goes back together. Once you get that separation going on, once they've come apart and heated and softened and then gone back together, you're always going to see that line.
Yeah.
So yeah. Once a piece gets to that point, I generally it makes it to my research center upstairs from the shop, but outside of that, not released for public consumption.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's interesting though, because going through the process, how it is when you do vac stacks or whatever you're doing, you really can kind of understand the glass more when it does break, and you really see what it does. You get, like you're saying, you get that separation, and then you go to fix it, and all that clear just kind of filled that void, and so now you have this clear space in there that you can't, a weird fold or some shit you can't do anything about, except for maybe hide it with a marble, and even then you can still generally see it.
Absolutely. Well, that's how you learn. You got to push boundaries, and you don't want to break too many things, but if you're not breaking some stuff from time to time, I would say you're a little too comfortable. You got to get outside of that comfort zone to really hit a proper flow state. I would say. Yeah.
And that flow state, dude, it's amazing when you can hit that and you're in that zone. It's awesome. I fucking love it.
You ever seen one of those? I forget what it's called. It's a flow state dynamic chart or something. It's like you've got like difficulty, like kind of scale from one end to the other, and then focus from one end to the other, and you can. I should bring up. I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it right now.
I got to bring up the graphic to talk about this properly. Hang on, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, I'll find this picture. Let's just move on for a second.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just brought it up myself. I got to sit here. But yeah, dude, I definitely agree because like I've talked about this before on past episodes. But when you know your medium, you know your flow, you know your glass, you know your flame, you know what you're doing, you have your project all laid out and your plans all there and shit set up, and you're ready to go. You can just get in this weird tunnel vision that like 5 hours later you come back and you're like, where the fuck am I at? All of a sudden you realize you're in a studio kind of thing.
I'm always trying to get into that state. Like that's kind of like, it's like a meditative focus. That's when good things happen, basically, is when you're in that, state of focus.
Yeah.
It's interesting how glass kind of forces you into that. You really can't do a whole lot else while you're blowing glass. And it's not even like, it's not even an art medium like painting where, I can picture like Bob Ross doing like, oh yeah, there's some color over here. I don't know. We're going to like put some crap over here. And then, what's this? We'll add some stuff. Can't really, like, glass blowing just doesn't work like that. You can't just like sprinkle some stuff on and like see how it happens. It's like, no, you need to have a plan. Like I got these blow tubes flared. We're making these sections into these sizes. This gets assembled this way. There's a lot more science to it. And I honestly, I appreciate that because it pulls me into the process a lot more for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like when I'm doing my thing at Disney, people are always intrigued to want to come talk to me. And I'm all about it, and a lot of times they're hesitant because they think I'm so focused that I can't talk while I'm working. And because I do production and a lot of the same shit over and over again, I can sit and talk to them, while I'm in the middle of making something.
Sure, yep.
But and usually that kind of throws them off a little bit as well, that they don't understand how I'm able to do both. And it's like riding a bike anymore, except you burn yourself and cut yourself instead of scraping your knees, But
yeah,
but it's like one of those things where there ain't a whole lot else you can do. Like I usually have like a TV show or something radio going on or something like that. But it's like if I've got my TV going, I'm not watching it.
I'm actually one of the rare ones that watches TV while I work too. I don't know, man. It's just more entertaining. I mean, like a lot of the stuff that I do is like, okay, now I got to melt these Millis in for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like, I might as well put a little documentary on or something to, I tend to watch a lot of stuff, or I should say listen to a lot of stuff that's like things that are narrated, like stand-up comedy or documentaries that have narration, or the other one is like really stupid shit that I've seen a million times, like shit like Scary Movie 3 or something like,
Half-Baked,
where you don't even have to look. It's like, yeah, this shit is super dumb, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, you can see it in your head.
It's just like some background noise, really, more than anything.
Yeah, I like watching wrestling when I work, just because I like listening to the commentary, what's going on. It's
hell yeah,
some funny shit. Do you watch it yourself? I don't know a lot of people our age that really
like
are.
I was raised on wrestling. I actually went to WrestleMania 1 and 2 when I was a kid.
Fuck yeah.
But like not as an adult, it hasn't quite held my interest. Here, I live in a city called South Milwaukee. It's just like a suburb just south of the main city by the airport, and we have this like local, I don't know, it's like an entertainment complex thing, and like every few months they have wrestling. They actually just had one last Saturday and I missed it, but it's super crazy. They all like, throw tacks in the ring and body slam each other. It's like super over the top theatrical, and they like totally pick on the crowd. They're like, oh, you people from South Milwaukee, you look pretty stupid to me. And everybody boos at them. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's the best.
We went last time. Serto was in town, collabing with Cap and Crunk, and he and I and Cap and Crunk and a bunch of friends all went to it and had a blast. So, yeah, gotta say I still appreciate it. For
Hell
sure.
yeah, yeah. The Royal Rumble was just on the other day, so I was like, I haven't watched this in.
Nice.
It's like usually it's like my one pay-per-view I would get, but now WWE has their app now. It's like $10 a month, and it's like, I mean, literally, dude, it's like 100,000 hours of content they have on there now. Like any
Wow.
pay-per-view they've ever had, you have access to now. It's crazy. So I've just been catching up, and it's only $10 a month, which is fucking killer. So I look at it, it's like, oh, that's a little bonus for my taxes every year, and whatever, a little write-off.
I'm blown away by how much of that shit is on YouTube now. Like so many of the really shitty 80s movies that never made it to Netflix or whatever are just like on YouTube, like full length, normal version.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Killer. I actually heard the other day they're talking about YouTube becoming more of a TV channel, like actual people doing TV shows on there now. So
really,
yeah, it's kind of
interesting.
Yeah,
well, it's kind of happening anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
People control their own content, I guess.
Yeah. It's Killer. Did you find that chart, that flow state chart?
Oh yeah, totally. Sorry.
That's cool.
So where were we talking about flow?
Yeah, about the flow state. And
so,
getting in that zone.
I mean, yeah, it's when I first saw that flow state chart thing, it kind of blew my mind because I guess it's something that I kind of like on some kind of subconscious level knew, but once it gets explained to you, it's suddenly very clear. You know what I mean? Basically, the concept is that you've got a level of challenge from high to low, and you've got a level of skill from high to low. If you look at it like a plus sign, challenge up and down, skill left and right, you can see that when you're not challenged and your skill is high, you can relax and basically get into the task at hand. But when you are not challenged and you don't have skill, you get into worry and apathy and all these other weird feelings. It's long story short, you're basically like always at all times you have to be at least challenging yourself a little bit. And certainly the skill factor affects how that result comes out. So I'm not explaining this well at all.
No, it makes sense though, man, for sure. Because this last year, it's actually a year from this month, I started doing jump rope exercise fitness wise, and I actually lost 35 pounds last year doing this shit. And
holy shit,
diet helped out too. But
just jump rope?
Yeah, doing jump rope and body weight exercises and watching my calorie intake and diet and stuff. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it made a huge difference. Yeah, dude, I cut sugar out in like the first 2 months. I lost 15 pounds just cutting sugar out of my diet.
Holy cow! Yeah, it's for a while. Like what was it last? Yeah, I guess it was last winter. I just decided to not drink beer for a while. I mean, I live in Milwaukee, so it's like everybody drinks here.
Yeah, it's like
beer
tap
is just
water.
Like everybody has beer at all times. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cut out the beer for a little bit. And I didn't do absolutely anything different but not drink beer for a month. I drank that month. I just drank liquor, and I lost like 10 pounds. And I'm already a skinny dude.
That's crazy, though, right?
It's crazy how much. Yeah, I mean, just diet alone is such a crazy part of it. And, cutting out stuff like soda and shit like that makes such a massive difference. People don't really realize.
Yeah. But I know for the jump rope part, like when I first started, I hadn't jumped rope since I was like in high school. I mean, it's been 20 plus years, so it was like, at first it was really difficult, even just doing like normal standard jump rope, and it took me probably like 4 months of just going from one step to the next of tricks and shit, where now I can do like double unders and crossovers and all this other jump rope. Like I can freestyle jump rope now to like throw on some tunes and more or less jump rope like I'm in a club dancing to the music, but it's through my jump rope and I'm getting exercise. But you get that flow state going, and I can do it now because I'm experienced doing this jump roping, and where I can relax now and not be all tense and freaking out and getting all pissed off and throwing my jump rope around and beating shit up with it, like I was before. So
yeah, absolutely,
same kind of thing. And I'm sure with your racing is the same thing.
Oh, it's exactly the same thing. And a lot of people, I think, mistakenly think that, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm one way. Some people drive very different ways, but everybody thinks that we pound a bunch of monsters, and they're like, "Whoa, yeah, all right, everybody, let's go!" Like, it's so not how I approach it. And I mean, some people are that way, but I try to make myself completely dispassionate. Like, that's the way that I describe it to myself. Like, when I'm sitting in the car, like, waiting to go out, and, like, your nerves are, like, as bundled as they can be, I just try to just breathe and be as completely calm as I can. And especially in the car when things are happening on track, the more you can just kind of remove yourself from the situation and just look at everything super neutrally, everything gets super smooth. And like with racing, the smoother you are, the faster you are. So that mindset, although it sounds slow, makes you fast.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Kind of weird, but yeah.
Well, it's like you hear like these guys like the Barry Bonds of the world that can, like, I know when he was I heard stories of his dad and with him as a kid learning how to hit, and his dad would like take tennis balls and write a number on the ball and throw him the ball, and he would have to call the number off the ball before he actually hit it to get that hand-eye coordination going, but also to learn how to slow it down. Yeah, that's why he's such a badass. I mean, minus eventually the steroids, but naturally he was talented before he got all juiced up and his head grew 10 sizes. But yeah, man, it's that same thing. It's like,
that's super interesting.
Slow that shit down. Or like the Tampa Bay Rays, our old Joe Madden, who now is the Cubs coach, he would come in here and give these guys these little tiny baseballs to hit, and with these big fucking bats, oversized bats, and it helped them to slow the shit down. And this is like you're saying, you got to be able to slow it down, mentally, maybe not physically slow it down, but like an emotional state, not like you're saying. Because when you're passionate about stuff, bro, it's like I know on this podcast, for instance, when I started talking in certain topics that I'm like passionate about, I start talking fast and loud and get all crazy. Like my wife's always like, "You're fucking, you're yelling at me." I'm like, "No, I'm not yelling. I'm just passionate. Here's yelling." So she knows the difference, and then she slaps me, and I go back to quiet. But so I definitely agree, and I think a lot of people can relate with that. Just, I mean, in life in general, but with the glass too, it's just you got to get into that state to be able to just slow shit down.
Yeah, I've always appreciated how glass forces you into that state, and I mean, seriously, I think that my patience as a person has developed tenfold as a result of working glass. I mean, yeah, I was not a patient person when I started, and now I feel like I'm pretty patient now. Yeah,
I'm in the same boat, dude. I mean, having kids helps too, but even like, I don't know, my kids.
Absolutely,
kids definitely help. But I wonder too, man, because you and I are being same pretty much. What are you? Are you 40 almost?
Yeah, I'll be 40 in March. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So I just turned 40 in December. So, the maturation process of a man, in a sense, we're just now getting to that point where we're not little boys anymore. So like, it seems like this glass has like held our hand and held us and helped us, and and people in our same age group that have been doing this glass for as long as we have, that we've grown up with glass in our life through our early 20s and 30s where we were stupid and doing dumb shit, but it's taught us life lessons in a sense. It's always like, well, when you go this way, it's going to fuck up and break. But if you do it the right way, it's not going to. And even when you do it the right way, you deal with obstacles and shit too,
Yeah, I was a fucking nut when I was in my early 20s. I mean, if I wouldn't have had glass to kind of keep me anchored, I really don't know what direction I would have gone.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, bro. I said the same shit. Who knows? I may be out in the woods. Who knows? Even still alive,
Yeah, and I mean, and honestly, in the glass industry itself, kind of... self-maintains, I mean, from an early age, I mean, people were kind of like, yeah, we expect certain things of you. We don't want, don't do that. Don't do this, do this. In a very real way, there are consequences for behaving certain ways and whatever. And, many industries outside of our own, would not be so forgiving to people's loose attitudes towards all kinds of things,
Yeah, I know. I have to explain that to people sometimes because we're dealing with a bunch of stoners. Not everybody. I don't want to be like throw everybody in one little ball, but it's how it is. Where everybody's just kind of on island time, and like you and I trying to set a time for this interview. I could have been like, dude, I need to be on the phone at 4:30. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you can't do it, I'm sorry. We're not going to do it. I can't be that way because none of us are that way.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of par for the course. I mean, it's we're in an industry that's loosely, I guess, associated with marijuana. So as a result of that, you're going to have later wake up time. You're going to have, all kinds of looser everything. It's kind of crazy, but like in a real way, like you need to adapt your business strategy towards dealing with certain people. Like I'm in the Midwest and like, man, my son wakes up at 7. So I'm usually down in the shop by like 8:30 at the latest. Half the time I'll come down in the shop and be like, oh yeah, I got to call so-and-so and set up this gig. And then I got to call so-and-so about the teaching thing. And I'll think, oh man, it's 6:30 in the morning on the West Coast right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I need to wait like 6 hours before I call these cats.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of funny, but like naturally I would start my day by doing business and doing my computer bullshit, having some coffee. And then I would blow glass. But because of how the industry is and people are hella stoners and sleep until noon and they're on the West Coast, I have to blow glass first and then do my office shit later.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a little small example of how it affects our reality.
Yeah, for sure. What time do you get to bed usually?
It depends. Usually like midnight or something like that.
Yeah, same here.
Once I get like 6 hours, I'm good usually. I kind of run it. I mean, I work a lot. Like I I don't know. I was talking to my wife about this earlier today, actually. I think for the last 3 months, I've been on 60 to 70-hour weeks. Pretty nonstop. I mean, I take some chill time here and there, but yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, I count it all. Like, I don't just, some people only count torch work as work, but I definitely understand that there's a lot more to it than that. So, the time I spend in the office or, doing prep or, cold work or whatever, photography, that all counts to me. So,
yeah, and you're doing all that yourself.
Yeah,
you don't have any assistants helping you.
I've got one guy that's been working for me, Casey. He's been here for 6 years or something.
Okay.
He does all my Milli cutting and grinding for collector slices. Cool. And the ones that I use in my work. Facets and stuff like that I do myself. But he's been around to handle all that stuff. And he, packs boxes and does general assistant kind of stuff. And then, so I've got basically essentially like a 3 workstation bench. The building that we bought had a commercial kitchen attached to it. 'Cause it was a school. It's like a big lunchroom kind of area. And then, what was the kitchen before. So there was like a 15-foot by 5-foot ventilation hood.
Dude, that's
part where they had a bunch of 10-burner stoves under and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we came and looked at the building and I was like, well, what's up with all this? Like, does this shit work? Or they're like, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm like, can I flip some switches in this breaker box? And they're like, yeah, be careful. I'm like, flipped a couple things, flipped on, came on. I was like, okay, yeah, we're putting an offer on this building.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it's got a makeup air unit too. So it, we're in Wisconsin. It gets hella cold up here. So it basically preheats the intake air on the way in. So even with the ventilation on full blast, 20 below outside, it's like 60 in the shop. So it's nice. It's pretty comfy.
That's still cold for me.
Yeah. I like my seasons, man. And I mean, plus, honestly, I'm a little bit spoiled because I get to travel a lot. So yeah, I'm not like here suffering through the whole winter. It's not been too bad this year, anyways. So,
and your wife's obviously supportive of your crazy schedule. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Or she tolerates
the only way that we make it work is that she doesn't work. She takes care of our son and in this crazy building that we live in. Without that, I mean, there's no way I could work as much as I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We've done it a couple of different ways, but for us, it really works out great. I mean, I take my son, one day a week or something to give her a little bit of a break, for a good chunk of the day, but he goes to bed at 7:00 too. So no matter what, I can always work after dinner too. So I don't know. I pack it in, maybe a little bit too much, but
yeah,
can't rest, man. All these youngsters are nipping at my heels.
I know. Tell me about it. The fuck?
No fucking around.
No. I know, man. It's so funny. I love it though, dude. Like the hustle and the grind is real. But then at the same time, man, like I'm around some kids, some of at the studio I work at, and I laugh because like these guys will be in there like 20 hours a day, but like maybe 6 hours are on the torch.
Yeah. So a lot of Instagramming going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were actually, it was kind of funny. We got Jimmy's in town, goes by Wicked Glass, and him and Joey Malachias are in town right now. I rent space over at Zen Glass here in St. Pete. And so like about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I was doing a little Instagram live video, and there was like 6 other people in the shop that were doing it in the same, in the same studio space. And we were just like laughing about it because everybody's like walking around and they're filming me, filming myself, filming them, kind of shit. It was pretty
like weird infinity mirror of Instagram lives.
Yeah, dude, like this black hole is gonna open up or something, tearing the cosmos or some weird thing going on. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But that's how I was. I was a young kid in the studio. I'd be in there because I didn't want to be at home, so I was there 20 hours a day and working for maybe 10 or 12 of those 20 hours. But
at the same time, there's plenty kids blowing glass 6 hours a week too.
Yeah.
fucking around having 20,000 dabs, you know.
20,000 5-gram dabs.
Yes, totally.
Hey, more power to him, but that's definitely not my cup of tea for sure.
No, not 20,000. Oh shit.
No, fuck no.
Need something done.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. So I guess to kind of get back on track here, which is always how this shit goes.
Yeah.
So early on, you're doing the inside outs and doing, you know, your production stuff. At what point did you feel like you were ready to kind of find your voice in what you were doing, or that you actually kind of found your voice in a sense?
Well, I mean, you know, I tried a lot of different stuff. I had a million phases where I tried different things, and, you know, cold working and different techniques, and honestly, that didn't go badly. It all went well, but I feel like it was just a lot of experimenting for me. And I started to get in, you know, honestly, I made Mirini from week one blowing glass. I tried to make a bullseye Mirini, like, as soon as I got home from the Jerry Kelly trip, and it turned out just super terrible. It, man, I mean, the color then was like rust and white and like 5 other colors or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I layered this stuff up, and I was like, yeah, sweet, that looks like a bullseye. And I pulled it, and I cut it, and it looked like a T-bone steak.
Yeah.
Like pretty much like a T-bone steak.
Hilarious.
And so I told everybody it was a T-bone steak Milli.
That's great.
So that was how I started making Milli. And yeah, I mean, you know, over time I developed some skills and kind of like learned how it actually works. And you know, I made a ton of little trial stuff. I mean, you know, honestly, even in like '02, I did a stringer stack in a tube Milli out of Boro. That was like a signature cane of mine that I used for a while after that. So I mean, I was on to some, you know, some tech even back then, but just didn't really have the full picture with how Franchini style Mirini were made like I make now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a class from Lawrence Stump in I guess like 2007, something like that. And did like a 5-day intensive thing. And I'm sure you've heard before, but for everybody who doesn't, you know, his classes are like notoriously brutal, just like, you know, 4 a.m. every night. Like, please stop. Like,
Jesus.
And I knew that going into it. Now it's just like, oh, I'm going to be the star pupil. I'm going to be the last person. And sure enough, I was like the last one there every night, me and him. And that was cool. And I definitely like packed my brain full of knowledge for sure. I finished that up and then kind of decided, you know, I need some kind of worthy project. Like, what's it going to be? You know, how am I going to up my skills with this particular technique? And, you know, I started looking at series and different things that I could make. And being a child of the 80s and a lover of Nintendo from early on, Mario quickly popped into my head. So, you know, I, of course, have an NES console and a fuck pile of games still. And
Nice.
so I started playing them. And, you know, Super Mario 1's great. But upon closer inspection, you look at it with a really good color TV, you'll see that all the colors are like tan and brown and like not very poppy.
Mm-hmm.
They're all kind of dull and like, you know, I don't know, just kind of muted. And you go to Super Mario 2, great assortment of characters. You got the 4 to choose from. They pull the stuff out of the ground, so you got a lot of icons and whatnot. Pretty good. But Super Mario 3, not to be fucked with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got like the apex of cuteness, popping colors, well-designed stuff. And I mean, you want to talk about universal imagery. I mean, it's recognized anywhere and everywhere. So, you know, I never realized how long this would all take. I initially thought to myself, you know, this might take me a year, front to back. This might be a whole year. Like, I better buckle up, you know, it's going to be tough. And, I am currently starting year 7 of making Mario stuff.
Crazy.
You know, I never intended to, but I've gone through and done basically each level, you know, one by one. And like I said initially, this was like really designed to be an exercise for me to up my skills. Like I really kind of just wanted to make these Millis to get better at making Millis. And it turned into this thing where I was like, well, I got all these Millis, now what? And I had been working on this layered Mirini scene thing for quite a while. Tried it before that with some trees and bushes and stuff like that I made that were like layered forest scenes. And the problem was I just kind of fired through the Millis without really taking my time. So it didn't look good, and I kind of got discouraged. So I didn't know how it was going to go. So I took a month and I made a set of Millis, basically like all of the Mario level 1 Millis, as my collectors know them, I guess. And, you know, put it together and started to mess with this like idea of layering scenes with Mirini and stringer drawings. And over time, you know, I mean, I ripped through all the level 1 ones, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess so. Let's try another one. Let's do another level. And then I kind of realized, well, hey, I mean, I guess I might as well do them all. This is going well. You know, people seem to be supporting what I'm doing, so I should probably continue. And I just kept going, and it kind of, it has certainly helped me achieve that goal. I feel like I've definitely like grown a million times over. I don't even know how many Millis I've made in this series, but it's a lot.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, there's basically 10 levels, and there's more than 10 for each one. So I would say it's more than 100, and a couple of them I've remade, like the question mark block I've made a ton of times. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty great. I mean, I love really getting a hold of a process and really, you know, wrapping your mind around how it all works. And honestly, like I, by no means do I consider myself the master of the Milli. Like I have shit go wrong on me all the time. I'm still learning all the time. I think that's kind of what you have to do to be good at anything is, you know, as soon as you're like, oh, I'm the master of the, you know, XYZ, then, you know, you're not going to be. You're going to stop learning because you regard yourself as the master. You know. Yeah,
I think that's for me. That's like
I try to take that approach.
Yeah, it's a big turn on though for me for the glass. Like it's constantly making us learn, and you know whether we want to or not. And if you don't want to learn, then you might as well stop wasting your time because it almost forces it on you. You know, because it's like you got one little thing. It's like, what the fuck did I do wrong? Because I remember back when I was doing like inside outs and stuff, and I would have a crack or some shit. And I'm like, all right, was it the color? Were other colors touching? Was there an air bubble? And I would just break the pipe as much as I could, like in half, to like dissect it and look inside the wall to see just how consistent it was. You know, those little type of things. But then you're getting into technique like your Milli stuff, dude. Like, just the amount of heat and glass you're dealing with. Not to mention the fact that you got to pull that shit straight, or you're fucked after all that work you just did.
Yep.
You know, it's like
that's true.
You know, so much involved in it that people don't really understand. I mean, like even just even like learning how to do wig wags at the beginning and then condensing it down into a section and doing little bitch windows and stuff like that. Stuff was. I'm glad I did all that process. Like I haven't really done wig wags in a couple of years now, but I would love to get back into it.
They're all pieces of the puzzle, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it takes to put it all together.
Yeah, exactly. All those little building blocks.
Of it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
That's kind of what's kept my interest. I mean, that's what initially attracted me to glass, and what has kept my interest all of these years is kind of what I refer to as like the eternal puzzle solving of it all. You know, like I remember before I blew glass for a living, seeing it was pipes that I saw that really tripped me out more than anything. You know, I would look at it and be like, okay, I can see you've got some straight lines, and then you heated that shit up and turned one side faster, so it twisted. I'm like, okay, I understand that conceptually. You know, I understand, okay, and then you twisted one the other way and put it on there. Okay, I get that, you know. Mm-hmm. But then I would see things like implosions or Millis or honeycombs and stuff like that. And I would just think to myself, like, what I'm seeing, like, I cannot understand how it's possible. Like, how is this shit that I'm looking at encapsulated in this perfect bubble of glass? How is that all going on? And there's shit glowing around it, and it looks radioactive. You know, like, that's what initially blew my mind enough to pull me into it. That's definitely what's kept me here too.
Yeah, man. I know what you mean, because I know, like, similar to you growing up here in Florida and not really having a scene here. We had the smoke shops, but they were like record stores turned into, they had like a case in the place, type of deal. So nobody really was sharing anything. But I would go to these shops and like look at pieces that would come in and like try and pick them apart and try to figure that shit out and go home and try to make them again and then fuck it up and then go back to the shop and try and compare it in my head or whatever, before we even had cell phones to really take pictures of our shit, type of stuff.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's crazy. It's like, that's the struggle is real, man.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize how tough it was just to see some other glass. Like, man, what is out there, shit, man, back in the glasspipes.org days. And I remember so many days waking up being like, I'm going to go look at glasspipes.org and see what I could bite off of there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know. I brought it up a couple times. Like I was on glasspipes.org when it first came on. Like I was in like the top 10 for I think 2 years or something like that. And there was maybe like 100 of us on there. Then and the Jason Lees and Marcel's, and then like Scott Deppy comes out all of a sudden out of like left field.
Oh yeah, totally.
And just blows everybody away. But like Bear Claw was on there. Like there were a lot of cats that were like that were just blowing minds. Like how the fuck are these guys doing this stuff? But now,
yeah, no doubt.
18 years later, I kind of have an idea.
Well, it's crazy that it took so long to connect people that do this from all over the country. And now, it's like, I don't know. I totally feel like you were saying earlier, like the angry old man. It's kids nowadays don't understand. Like, you can just get on these Facebook groups or whatever. Like, there's a young dude I was talking to recently was like, oh, okay, you know how to do an implosion? You know how that all works? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. I'll look it up on YouTube. And I'm like, well, I'm fucking standing right here, and I can explain how to do it better than whatever YouTube video you're going to find is. But, like, young people kind of just prefer to get information that way. So that's just how it is. But, I mean, I think it's more beneficial than not just having it out there.
Yeah, definitely. The only problem I find with YouTube, though, is there's a lot of bullshit on there that people are like. There was some jackass for a while, dude. Like he was using like a butane torch or some shit to melt glass. He had like no glasses on. Like all these, he was all over Instagram for a while. People were talking shit about him, but people were seeing that and thinking that that's what you should be doing and how to do it. It's like this podcast. Like I'm not going to create a shit podcast because I want people to, if they listen to this podcast, understand what a decent quality podcast sounds like, so that they listen to other podcasts besides just mine. Nothing worse than turning something on and it sounds like crap and turns you off on everything else you may potentially listen to.
Absolutely.
And the glass videos are the same way. Like Dustin Revere's been killing it on there for years and years and years. But foundationally wise, a lot of these kids look at Dustin Revere's videos and that's all they know how to do is just the tech that he's showing.
I wasn't gonna say his name.
Oh, it's okay. I had him on the show, dude. No, it's cool. I love Dustin and what he's doing. Like he's definitely helped our community out. But there's definitely there's a whole generation of his students that have a skill set that is more or less just what they've learned from the videos. Hopefully, they've gone on and taken classes and understood foundationally. So, because like I'm getting ready to launch a whole online series myself, but the online series I'm doing is all instructional, basic, foundational techniques. So when you go see a Dustin Revere video or you go take a class like from yourself, you have a skill set that you can then take and use and not just be a fucking douche. Just one trick pony. You can actually understand what the hell's going on and use it. Like I'm still trying to figure out how to do a fucking Jesus seal. I can do it, but it's like I haven't done it enough to get that shit down.
I haven't tried it, but I think I conceptually fully understand it now. Like,
it's so
I was at that East Coast Melt Festival.
Oh yeah.
Over last September, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome event, by the way, on the sidebar. And Micah Evans gave a demo of how to do that. Pretty interesting how that one works, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's neat. We had Blitzkrieg was in town recently doing a class, and that was like one of the first things he taught because of his balloon animals he does. They're all Jesus seals, basically. And
oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
yeah, a lot of us. Yeah, from what I understand, I didn't take the class, but I was watching from behind over my shoulder, and yeah, that was one of the things I saw him teaching was taking a piece of 12 mil and folding it over into an arch, and then doing a bunch of Jesus seals down that tube to make it all connect basically in all these little different sections.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Dustin Revere actually has a killer YouTube video on how to do Jesus seals, and he does it that way too. He takes a piece of 12 mil and bends it into a curve.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I do think it's good that all those videos are out there. I mean, it's if anything, it's like people just need to see that this stuff exists. Like, we're in such a weird niche kind of a thing, like society at large, if you will, just doesn't even know we exist. I mean, it's we all think that, like, oh, the scene's getting bigger and whatever, and it is, sure, but like, so many people have no idea what we do. I mean, where I live here in South Milwaukee, it's extremely quiet. I don't even have a sign on the building. Like, I don't really want people popping in trying to order stuff anyways. But,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody really knows. And I ended up, this is a small town. There's 15,000 people here or something. But I ended up meeting the mayor of the town. And he was like, wow, this is crazy. What do you do for a living? And, I showed him a bunch of the stuff that I make. And he was just like, wow, that is incredible. I can't believe it. That is so good. And, like, did a little article on me and stuff in a little city blog. So it's pretty incredible. Like, people definitely support when they do hear about it. But it's just, I mean, I definitely, speaking for myself, I do a lot of hanging out in the studio, not talking to a whole lot of people, just have my head down working,
Yeah.
So it's kind of the nature of it,
Yeah,
a little bit different when, I'm sure you get to blow glass in a much more public light, so you've maybe got a different perspective on it.
Yeah, well, being at Disney and doing it, it's like, all the fucking time, people are like, wow, you must be like a rarity. This is a dying art. And I'm like, you have no idea. There are thousands,
right?
I mean, literally thousands of people doing this right now in the home studio movement. I don't say they make pipes and stuff, but I still let people know, like, there's a renaissance going on. And, or I'll get that Dale Chahuki guy, that glass artist, kind of thing.
You got the eye patch? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny.
Yeah, I know Dale. That's my dog.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Actually, I helped open up his. We have a collection of his here, so I helped him get the thing going and running and what have you. And we got to hang out and have some drinks and shit. But
nice.
I don't know him like my best buddy or anything, but people bring him up so I can share that story with him. Just to kind of give him some insights.
I met him. I've got a funny Dale Chihuly story for you. So Captain Crunk and I went to the Milwaukee Art Museum, did a full exhibition of his work. I think there was 10 chandeliers, and I'm pretty sure they bought one for the permanent collection that's still there. But he gave like I want to say like a 2-hour lecture right when the show opened, and Captain Crunk's mom was at the time a member of the art museum, and was like, oh, you guys should go to this, check it out. So we're like, yeah, cool, we'll go check it out. And we went and bought some Chihuly books in like the gift shop of whatever before the thing. Really killer lecture. Definitely gave a lot of insight on his whole process and him as a person, and definitely changed my mind on him a lot. Like, I wasn't as much of a fan of him as I was until I heard him speak about his process and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so we saw him afterwards, and I was like, oh, hey, Dale, you can sign my book. He's like, oh, absolutely. Here you go, blah, blah, blah. What's your name? Paul? Oh, yeah, right out. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. I'm a glass artist. And he looked up at me and was like, oh, God. And literally turned around and walked away.
That's funny.
Fled in fucking terror when I mentioned that I was a glass artist. It was pretty great.
Yeah, he's an interesting personality. Like, I heard a story, I think it was like his 60th or 70th birthday or some shit. They had this big to do, a couple thousand people show up to it. And he comes down the elevator from his room, and the doors opened up, and he waves at everybody, and the doors closed, and he went right back upstairs to his room. That was his appearance.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's Mr. Introverted. I mean, even still to this day, he uses a fucking fax machine to send out his drawings and sketches and stuff to his studio people. So
Are you serious?
Yeah, a fax machine.
Wow.
If you go through
when people ask me to fax them something, I say, what?
Yeah, I use an app on my phone. I literally have a fax. It's called FaxFox.
Yep, I will email that shit to you right now. I will take a picture of it with my phone.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. But yeah, man, but if anything, I think there is a misconception of him because everybody's like, oh, this guy doesn't do his glass, hasn't blown glass in 30 years, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he started it. He's been such a huge influence on this home studio movement in this country. People have no idea this stuff. I mean, had his head on a stake in Italy. I mean, they were ready to kill his ass because he came to this country and leaked all their secrets and shit and started bringing these Italian artists over here. I mean, he really started this movement in a sense for the home studio movement to where we are now.
Absolutely. We all owe Dale. So, I mean, that's all there is to that. I the thing that I learned the most about him during his lecture was, I always kind of had the same criticism in my mind was just like, he doesn't even blow glass, I mean, last time he blew glass was like in the 70s or the early 80s. I don't know when.
Yeah, 75, 76.
He lost his vision.
Yeah, it was in the mid-70s.
Okay. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, whatever. He's fucking making those paintings of the broom and shit. He's not even a glass blower. And then he explained, like, look at one of these chandeliers. There's like hundreds of these, like, super specific shape, super specific color with interior ridges or exterior ridges curled a certain way or made straight a certain way. So, for one, there's no way that one man would be able to create one of these pieces in several years, let alone the volume of work that he's created. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about wanting to do installations in hotels in Vegas and shit like that. I mean, that's not a job for one person.
Oh, hell no.
And I never really realized that before. It was just like, yeah, this is a team sport. This isn't like, and what it really takes is a killer designer at the helm,
yep.
Someone with glass blowing experience, which is exactly what he is. So, yeah, definitely props to Dale on that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, just a little bit of his. I mean, for those listening that don't know about him too much, but like he was the first American glass artist that was welcomed into a Venetian studio on a scholarship to learn how to blow glass the Venetian way. And when he came back, he helped share those techniques over at Pilchuck when that got opened up and got started. But
he helped start Pilchuck, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's when he started bringing like Lino and all those cats started coming over here to teach. But then when he was in Ireland in the 70s, which is where the eye patch comes from, him and his buddy was driving, and being in a different country and not understanding the roads and shit, they got into a bad storm, and they were going to a roundabout, and his buddy went the wrong way on the roundabout, and they were in a head-on collision, and he was ejected through the windshield, and the windshield glass, like there's a couple pictures of him. I'll put it in the show notes too, but you can see like the laceration that went across his face, and they tried saving his eye, and they just couldn't do it, so he got the eye patch, but he also got really bad nerve damage in his foot and his arm. And he tried doing the glass, and he was also at the time growing up in California. He was an avid surfer, and after that car accident, he was able to blow glass a little bit, but because of the one eye depth perception was hard for him, so he would have like an assistant get his gathers for him and stuff. Then he would finish the piece up, and then he was body surfing one day because he couldn't stand on a surfboard anymore because of the nerve damage in his foot from the accident, and then he blew his fucking shoulder out body surfing and like tore every tendon in his arm. And that was it for. He was that was the moment where he was like, okay, I guess I'm going to stand back. And I've always considered him to be like the conductor and composer for the orchestra, in a sense, and his orchestra is creating his colorful glass. And I've done chandeliers myself, dude. Like the first commission piece I got, which actually came from someone coming to the Chihuly collection that didn't want to spend $100,000 on a chandelier. I still got $20,000 for it, which is fucking killer, type of thing. But I spent 90 hours.
Killer.
On this thing. It took me 16 hours just to install the fucking thing, and it was all component pieces, and it gave me a whole different respect for what this dude does and his team does on top of it, and the engineering and design that goes into that process is just, there's so much more involved than just Dale Chihuly with the guy with the pumpkin head and the one-eyed fucking bandit guy. So
yeah. That is funny though. That is the one question that you get again and again. Like, I mean, I've done a million craft fairs and art on the beach kind of deals. Oh, there was this thing on PBS. I'm like, I know, Dale Chihuly, the eye patch. I get it. Like, it's funny. We get a lot as glass blowers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, it was kind of funny too. The collection I worked at, we were all a bunch of misfits working there anyways, a bunch of artists and stuff. And we also were musicians, and we had a party one day for his birthday kind of deal, just kind of being silly. And we did a bunch of cover songs, but we called ourselves the Red Hot Chihuly Peppers, and we all wore eye patches and wigs and shit. It was fucking killer. We all did some cover songs, had a big cake made up, and took a picture of us all with our eye patches on and stuff. It was pretty silly shit. But, yeah, it's good
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, man. So to kind of get back on track again here, as whatever, get the train on the tracks. So I'm just kind of curious in the process though, when you are like laying out your levels for your Mario pieces, are you actually like, because in the old book days, of getting the cheat books for the games and seeing like the levels laid out in the books, in the magazine form.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever use that type of reference, or did you draw those on paper? Because I've seen like your even recent posts of your drawings of the characters. But did you actually like lay that shit out, in a sense, and create like an actual level?
Yeah, I mean, I use a few different techniques. So yeah, I mean, you've got like the cheat books and stuff. That's certainly one way to do it, but there's levels to that. No pun intended. The farthest level of that being a thing called a sprite sheet, and a sprite sheet is basically a big image of every character and item in a game in every step of animation. So I have one for Mario that's got, for Mario 3, I should say, that's got like, small Mario or big Mario in every, I think there's like 16 steps. Like for when he takes a step, there's like 16 different phases for him to get to the next step.
Huh.
So I'll kind of go through and basically the way that I work it is my wife is really good at the game. So usually I will kick back and drink a few beers and watch the wifey play with the sketch pad. And I kind of, depending on the level that it is that we're currently working on, I basically just sketch, what are the key points of this level that makes it unique from other levels? Like, what are all the points that need to be conveyed? And from there, I will decide which of those components need to be stringered into the background and which of them need to be created into detail millis. And then, there's a little bit of a formula for each one. I mean, every level's got a Mario. Every level's got a signature cane of mine. And then beyond that, there's going to be some enemies. There's going to be some boxes. There's going to be some items. So how that all fits together kind of depends on each level. But, that's basically my process is playing the game, creating sketches to begin with, and then from there going to the individual sprite sheet to find the exact image that I'm looking for. So like, for example, I'll go to, okay, I want to make a Tanuki suit. Well, I know that I've done the Tanuki suit with him jumping with the right leg up, and I've done the Tanuki suit with him standing vertical. So I can't do those two. So I'll look through, okay, find a new one or whatever, and then just kind of work it from there. I have, like, initially when I started the game, I just wanted to make them like the game. The graphics on the game aren't very good.
Right, yeah.
It's really like 32 squares by 32 squares can make any of these images. And certainly I could have done them stringer stack style, but they would look like pixels, and in a way I think that's good, but I guess this kind of leads us into trademarking. I was a little bit concerned that I was too much exactly like the game was. Mm-hmm. So basically I made a decision to essentially create my artistic representation of each one.
Right.
Now, when I initially started the game, I just wanted to like, okay, yeah, in a really specific example of this is like, if you look at the level 1 Millis, Mario's eyes are just black dots. And in the game, that's what it is, just a black dot where his eye is. If you look at the current Mario that I've got, his eye is a black outline that's really thin, surrounded with white, and then inside of that is another thin black outline, and then there's a little bit of blue, and then in the very middle of that is a black dot. And, that all happens in like a 1 millimeter space or whatever. But it's crazy how different it makes it look. So,
yeah.
Reason for that is, I kind of, all kinds of people make things, and like, I don't own the rights to Mario. I never get mad at people for making Mario stuff or whatever, but I kind of like, it kept being like, oh, well, what about this Mario? This one's nicer. And it's like, well, they're just making a Mario Milli to make it like look like a good Mario Milli. I'm trying to make it look like this game, And in my mind, I just like wanted this continuity from front to back of like, oh, well, I just want it to look like, the black dots for the eyes is like how it is in the game. That's how it should be. And, frankly, they're faster too. So, current set of Millis took me 3.5 months to make. So, 3.5 months, I'm collecting $0.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, fuck, man.
For me in particular, I have to play this constant, balance game of building up these coffers and then depleting them, and like buy a bunch of color and save my money and then make Millis for months and slowly dwindle away all the color and money and then hopefully get the Millis done in time, and then I can start to create pipes and marbles and pendants and shit from the Millis that I've created. But so I'll go through this this process all the time with each level basically.
Yeah, it's killer, dude. But then like once that's done, you got to make sure that piece comes out. That's a lot of fucking work.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh no, that's not the end of the line for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It gives me a whole nother new appreciation for what you do, dude. Like it's incredible.
Thanks. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's certainly, especially nowadays, one can create Millis and just call it a day and make a very good living for yourself. But I personally, I derive happiness from creating objects daily. So, making a Milli is great, but I need to come down in the morning and open up the kiln and be like, ooh, look at this. Look at what we got here. That's just like, I've learned over time that even if it's not glass, I have to be making things. And that might be why I got into cars so much too, is just, I just can't stop fucking with things. Like I just want to customize things and change them and improve them and whatever. And it might be my downfall, but I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, man, it keeps you going, and I think it also keeps us young by doing that. We're not just sitting around watching Netflix all fucking day, eating Cheetos and getting fat. We're actually doing shit and being accomplished. 'Cause, and I think I think we're spoiled in a sense too, but in a good way, because the fact that we can open up our kilns and have a Christmas every fucking day. Seeing this new thing that no humans ever touched except for us from that first piece coming out. It's a magical thing.
Yeah, we definitely get spoiled that way.
Yeah, and then you open it.
But
I mean,
fuck-ups. Oh yeah, there's plenty of those too. Man, I've had some real heartbreaks with Milli canes for sure. I mean, things that I spent weeks on, and you do the final pull and come down the next morning, and the whole entire thing is like split down the middle lengthwise and crumbled on the interior because of some color or something. I mean, it's heartbreak by the pound for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so neat though, man. I like the concept, because I think like the stringer work, that detail alone, it's not easy to do, to be able to draw and paint in a sense with with stringer and color, especially the colors that we have. And we have so much. I mean, like we were saying before, we had like 8 colors at our palette when we started this shit. Now we've got like almost too many. So it's learning the process.
No, I mean, it's we certainly have so many more colors than we ever did now. And, obviously I'm super appreciative, but you look at like Prismacolor markers, for example, and it's just like, holy shit, look at all this whole range of, man, there's so many colors I can think of that I would just love to have that don't exist from any manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, I think everybody that produces color in this industry is, obviously like falling over themselves to create things as rapidly as they possibly can. And don't even want to launch into the whole cadmium Portland thing. But I
was going to say that too. We all know what happens from that shit. But I'm glad they're reversing their issues.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they're finally moving ahead, and it seems like both North Star and Alchemy are producing CADs again now. So
yeah,
hopefully that's done. But yeah, certainly rough.
Yeah, exactly. So on the trademark thing, you haven't received it. I mean, I hate to even bring it up, dude. Like knock on wood here and shit, but it's obviously this huge mega company. But at the same time, they're in a whole other side of the fucking world. Even though we have social media, because as we all know, there have been plenty of letters that have been sent out to artists in our industry from posting things on social media. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously things are good to go for now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. I've I wish I would have kept a log of like how many texts I've received from friends. Like, yo, man, I heard you got sued by Nintendo. Like, everything all good? I've never received a C&D from Nintendo. If I did, I would certainly stop producing this stuff. But quite simply, go to Etsy and type in Mario and see what you find.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about something that's being just run wild with. You can get yourself some Mario earrings or coasters or drinking glasses or, anything. So I'm not exactly positive how all that works. My understanding is that if you change the images enough to be like, I'm sculpting these things out of glass, so it's not super exact to what, their original images are in the first place. And the other thing is that I don't advertise it as Mario stuff or Nintendo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that they're looking for is like you representing your product as having been produced by them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's pretty clear with my work that it's not being produced by Nintendo of America.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, dude, give me 1 second. I got a weird buzz going on here.
Yep.
Okay, it went away. I got one of my last year. My dog knocked a large glass of Sprite into my little podcasting box of stuff. So it took me like 3 weeks of cleaning it all out and getting it all good. And every once in a while, I get like a weird short or something. It's weird, but yeah. Anyways. But yeah, man, I think there's like a 30% rule. Or there's a number about it, but even then, like, it doesn't fucking matter. These companies they're so big. But like you're saying, Etsy, dude, there's so much Disney shit on there. Like the ears you can get at the parks. Like there's so many people out there now that make custom ears and their own versions of them and stuff, and they don't call it Mickey ears. They just call it ears or whatever they want to call it. But
sure, yeah.
There's a shit ton. I've got a bow tie and suspenders made by someone on Etsy that's all Disney print shit that I actually wear to work on stage. And nobody's ever said anything negatively. If anything, people are asking where the fuck I got it from because they want to buy one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't really ever picture it being too much of a problem. And I think part of the reason that it's continued to work for me is just I don't have much output, to be honest. Like, I work furiously and ceaselessly, but I create a relatively small amount of items because I don't have, a crew of people here producing stuff. So, I don't have the numbers out there that, like, say, a Hitman Dabbuccino does.
Right.
I don't know how many they produced of those, but I'm guessing it's like 1,000 or something.
Yeah, or how many Chinese people made them for him?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't give a fuck. I'll talk. I mean, I hate to talk shit about people, but that's one thing for me that I cannot stand. And I only know this shit from my old distributor I had. I mean, he told me all kind of stuff that was going on amongst big companies in our industry that were bringing shit overseas that were saying it was American-made stuff, and it's like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy too, because I know it's actually illegal to import pipes of any sort. So I don't understand how that's even possible. I mean, I know a lot of them. A lot of the companies that do that shit will like have perks made and then shipped here, and then people here like make it into a bong or whatever.
Yeah,
just like put a base on it or whatever. So it's not technically a pipe when it comes in, but yeah, there's some interesting gray areas there for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't really use any Chinese anything. All of the materials that they produce have ruined pieces for me enough to where I just categorically stay away from them. You know, most of the things that I make are, you know, realistically $1,000 and up, and losing just one of those pieces due to, you know, something totally outside of my control, like a color that's just a shitty color, just makes me like, all right, fuck that color forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it got better. Like, I'm done with it. I don't fuck with China black or China white or any of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've heard China white can be real good, and it's certainly super opaque and dense and all that stuff, especially for Millis. But I don't know. I spend too much time on my stuff to risk it, I guess, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all, dude. Like I've used pounds. From what I understand, we actually are the company I work for. We were like the one company in the country that bought as much, and if not the rest of the China white that was around and available. And then from what I heard, the factories that manufacture that shit had like a couple cases outside that were waiting to be shipped off or some shit. But because there wasn't any more available in this, really to get in this country, they ramped their furnaces back up and started manufacturing again. I mean, I've used hundreds of pounds of that stuff just making the Olaf that I did for Disney for a bit, for like 2 years or whatever.
You know, if you sculpt with it, like something like that, where you're using just that color with itself, no problem, totally no problem. It's just when you want it to play with others that it misbehaves.
And the COE's off a little bit. It's like a 36 or
for sure,
38 or some weird thing. It took me a little bit of time to slow down to be able to sculpt with it, so I'm not like pushing everything around. But it still had its issues. I mean, the surface would get sketchy sometimes. I get like really weird deviations, or you know, devitrification would happen sometimes, or a seam would pop weird. It's just it's a weird color, you know.
I remember I got invited out to instruct and demonstrate at the Kobe Lampwork Festival in 2007 in Kobe, Japan. And I had this piece with me that was like a super ornate perfume bottle that I made that was like really complicated. It had a ton of Chinese black in it, and the whole thing was like all cold worked and mink oil. It was really cool. And I had it at my booth, and someone pretty influential that I was trying to impress was like, picked it up and was like, oh, very, very nice, you know, checking it out. And then he's like, oh, look. And he like pointed out, like, oh yeah, it's cracked. I was like, oh, well, that's great. I mean, the piece wasn't cracked the entire time I cold worked it, and had it on the shelf for 2 months before I brought it out to the show. And then I got to the show and it cracked there. So
Shit
from that
sucks.
day, I was just like, you know what? Fuck Chinese black. Like, that color is bullshit. Not having a color embarrass me like that again and lose a client. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of categorically swore it off. I mean, we've got such good color in the U.S. and people are so picky with it now that it's really gotten to a point where it's pretty well developed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So on your other stuff that you do, your other lines of work, do you include some kind of Mario something in everything you make, or is it just that specific line of work?
What do you mean by other lines of work?
Well, like I saw, like you had like a pile of little rigs that were going. I think it was like Rodeo or something was picking them up, and they all had like spirals and reversals and shit on them.
Yeah, everything's got Mario on it though. I think maybe they just didn't show the Marios in that picture or something. But yeah, everything I've made for at least the last 6 years has all been pretty much strictly Mario stuff. Other than one-off projects that I did, like Michigan Project or Pipe Classic or whatever, stuff like that. I've specifically made Millis that weren't Mario things for some of those kind of projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a little bit of side work. I've done some custom logos for shops and stuff like that too. I honestly kind of, it's good work, but I really, really just hate doing that stuff because it's always so much harder for me to work for someone else than myself because I'm super critical of myself and I just want it to be perfect, and having to keep somebody else happy is so much pressure for sure.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, this year is like my year of getting out of the custom stuff and just really focusing on my lines and my work because of that.
Yep. Yeah. I generally, I kind of have a couple of product lines that I make. They change pretty often. But I have, for example, right now I have like 3 different mini tubes that I make, ranging in size and complexity. And, I'm about to do Glass Vegas, next week, Monday through Wednesday at the Wingate in Vegas.
Okay.
And, that's, basically a wholesale trade show. So I'm trying to bring stuff that, for one, shops can flip, and then also that I can make orders off of for a good part of the year. So that's kind of like generally my strategy is all. I do typically 2 trade shows a year. It has been in the past AGE in spring. I've added Glass Vegas to the roster too this year, and then Glass Roots in Madison, which is an excellent show.
Yeah.
I've been doing that one since it started about 7 years ago, I guess.
Nice.
So yeah, I try to do about 2 of those shows and typically like 1 solo gallery show somewhere. I'm kind of taking a little bit of a step back from that this year just because I have just so much going around here, shop-wise, racing-wise, family-wise, that I just kind of need a little bit more time this year. So
yeah, I understand that.
Easing up a little bit.
So when you do the trade shows, so you'll bring a body of work, but then you also like use those pieces as samples in a sense to get orders from other shops.
Correct. Yeah. Basically, I'll use those designs as examples. To just, how I work it is, I'll say, okay, you want to roughly, let's just say, use $5,000 as an example. You want $5,000 worth of glass, I'm going to set aside a certain amount of time in my calendar for you. And then I basically just put it into iCal, like, XYZ shop, here you go. You've got, the week of February 10th to the 17th or whatever. And then I basically like slot out my calendar that way. Usually don't take down payments on anything. Usually what I do is I just wait until that person's spot comes up. I'll call them like a week in advance, say, hey, timing's so good, blah, blah, blah. Let's make a list of what you want and all the prices on stuff. Once we've agreed on prices, colors, and all that stuff, and I start producing it, and then get paid, ship it out.
Hell yeah. Do they have a reference of some sort to go by when you're asking them for the orders that you're looking for?
Yeah. Typically, it's like whatever product lines I'm working on at the time, and
Okay.
Usually I've got photos of all that stuff. I mean, I will make stuff outside of that. I certainly can make almost whatever. But I try not to do custom stuff. I just find that the further I allow someone to customize things, the less happiness I take out of making it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, dude. Yeah.
I've got a really, really good buddy, somebody I've known 20 years, who he just loves oneies. He's got a million different oneies that I've made. He's probably got more of my oneies than anybody, honestly. But I remember one time he was like, "All right, no, I got this. I want you to make me this pipe." And I drew you up a picture. Here, check it out. Here's what I want. And it was like crazy, like cobalt blue number 4 lip wrap, reversal section consisting of these colors, and then
so
agua azul lip wrap. It was like, dude, and I made it, exactly like the drawing, but he wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of always goes that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, the customers have something in their mind, and the drawing usually won't represent it properly. And it's so difficult to translate what they want and what you want to make them is a very, very difficult thing, getting those two to line up. So for that reason, I definitely have pushed back from doing that kind of work as much as possible. I certainly have done a lot of it. Talking about weird ones. So there's like locally we've got SC Johnson is like the really big factory down here. I don't know if I should mention brand names.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, it's cool. Maybe they'll sponsor the show.
No, nice. But so they're they're super, super rich. I mean, they might be billionaires. I don't know. But back in the day, this is back when Devin and I had Ring of Fire. They came to me and it was an interior designer approached the shop, and she said, "Well, I've got this really wealthy client, and he's remodeling a bunch of these areas of his house, and he's got this Dr. Seuss bathroom, and he wants you to make like some glass soap dishes for it, like really fancy, like super weird, Dr. Seussy." And I was like, "Huh, okay. Yeah, like I can do that." And I was like, at the time I wasn't blowing glass for that long. I think it was like 2 years in or something. And I was like, "Yeah, I think it's gonna be expensive though, probably $100 a piece." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't think you get it. I don't think you understand. These need to be like so fancy. They need to be a lot more expensive than that." And I was like, "Okay. $350." And she was like, "All right, you've got a deal, but I'm going to need 2 of them, and they got to be exactly the same because they want a backup in case one breaks."
Crazy.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I made the same exact one that I was going to make for the previously agreed price, but they were super happy. So, I don't know. Some people just, I don't know. That was a weird one. They needed it to be expensive so bad. And I feel like that one was a little bit of an interior designer wanting to justify a massive bill of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's crazy how much of that work exists in the world, like architectural glass. We were talking about Chihuly earlier. It's insane how much of a market there is for that type of installation work. That's totally untapped. I mean, some of the people in our industry are just like, there's that Sagan mothership piece that sold a month or two ago for 100 racks. Mm-hmm. Or the mothership Rose Roads one at HEE that just sold for $220, from what I understand.
Jesus. Just recently?
Ludicrous amounts of money by all means, but when you look at like architectural installations for art glass, like that blows that shit out of the water. Like,
yeah, dude, it's true. My wife keeps telling me, like, I would love to get back into that arena. I mean, look at Buck, the one he did, last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was.
For Dan Bilzerian, that one?
Yeah.
Talk about a high-profile client. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, bro, and Buck's already got a fucking name for himself. Then you got this baller dude, having an ambient phone call.
I think I couldn't think of a better representative for our industry to Dan Bilzerian than Buck.
I completely agree.
Pretty awesome that it was him that sealed that deal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a good representative for us for sure. Yeah, just in terms of scale and quality of a person too. on top
Yeah,
of it.
absolutely. Just really super chill, very normal, cool dude for sure.
Yeah, super talented.
Fuck yeah, out of control. Yeah,
Yeah.
That dude.
But like you're saying though, it's like there's a certain persona of people out there that have to have something that is $1,000 or more, or they don't want to waste their fucking time with it. And it's also this whole perceived value thing. I've talked before about, like, if you're going to sell a Maserati at the Holiday Inn, it won't sell for as much unless you have it at like some big ass hotel in Vegas. You had the Maserati there, you might sell it for 3 times more than what it's worth just because of the location that it's at. Type of
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah.
It's so weird. And these people have this money, like the interior designer. She may have had like a $3 million budget, and she had to spend every fucking penny of it on something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, who knows? Maybe nowadays I might have told her 1,500 a piece.
Yeah, exactly.
You need 3 of them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The perception of objects' value is a very interesting thing. I for one struggled for a long time with pricing my work, especially because, as I explained, I've got this super long prep process that's like months long at a time. So, how can I possibly calculate what it costs for me to produce one slice of a Milli? I've thought about this so much. Like, it is pretty impossible.
Mm-hmm.
If I literally weighed out all of the colors that I was about to use to build the Milli and like got just super obsessed with the data of it, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't even know if I really want to know. But for that reason, I had a lot of trouble pricing my stuff for a long time. And I think as my skills developed, I resisted the urge to raise prices dramatically. I know a lot of the young bucks tend to get into it and get some skills under the belt and just boom, skyrocket their prices. And for some of them, it works. I don't know what the long-term consequences on that are, I guess. But I've been very conscious over the years of not jacking prices exorbitantly. Like, I think the biggest raise I've ever given myself in a year was 10%. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty fair with the amount of time I've got in on the series and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always such a tough thing to figure out, though, I guess.
It is. I know. Tell me about it. Even like I'm doing some of these new directional flow carb caps going out that I'm doing with my little outline that I make. And I was trying to figure out how to price them out. I set the first series at a high number just to see what kind of response, because like a lot of times the collectors will help us out with pricing. But like,
for sure,
you get some of that.
We'll let you know where you're at.
Yeah, it's
really
true.
Quick.
Yeah, definitely. But you get somebody like you auction a piece off and someone pays $10,000 for it. That's awesome, but it doesn't mean you can set your prices at $10,000 from there on out. It's like, it's a weird, hard thing.
That's true, and it can go the other way too. I mean, sometimes people don't see auctions. I mean, I've had mixed results with auctions for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely prefer to sell directly to stores whenever possible. Not that I don't like doing business directly with customers. I certainly have and do. But man, I gotta say, like, shops are just easier to deal with. Like, you're gonna get paid faster. They're gonna be more professional start to finish. It's not gonna be quite so many little questions about every little thing along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Smoother transaction all around, I guess.
Yeah. Like for myself personally, like my auctions, I do them, and I don't expect to make a lot on them, only because I do it purposely as a way for, it's like my deal of the week or a deal of the month I'll do, and a lot of times it goes for less than wholesale, and I'm fine by that because it gives someone out there that may not be able to afford my work necessarily from a retail sense. So I don't have a problem doing that,
yep.
and I let my shops know that, hey, this is this isn't always happening, and I also pull them down too. Like once an auction's over with, I pull that shit right off. Just because I don't want people coming to me saying, hey, what can I get that for that same price, type of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it definitely happens.
And I have the worst luck with that. I'll have people message me like, "Oh, that fucking Joe Peters piece you made is sick, bro. How much for it?" And it's like, yeah, that was fucking 4 years ago, dude, and it sold the morning we pulled it out of the kiln. Like, yeah, you like the Joe Peters collab? No shit. Like,
Yeah. So do I.
But
by the
you know,
way.
I mean, you can't blame people for being interested by any means. But yeah, it's funny. I get hit up about like really ancient history pieces pretty often.
That's too funny. Still fresh in memories.
Indeed.
Cool, man. So I want to move on. I want to get into the racing talk if you don't mind. Unless you got time. Like
sure,
I know
absolutely.
it's kind of going a little longer than probably, I don't know what your timing's wise, but I definitely want to kind of cover because I don't really know how many people out there know that you also are an extreme sport
sure,
enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably less known. I guess I don't know how to segue into that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, man. So when did that all start?
Well, I mean, I guess I was never really interested in cars like my entire adult life, and my dad's blind. My dad, like, without going too far into it, my dad got burned in this electrical accident, like I don't know, 12 years ago or something. And, you know, like, burned like his face off, and he lost an arm, and went blind through the whole thing. So, you know, we're trying to come up with a project for something that he and I could do together. And I thought, you know, I don't know shit about cars, but, you know, you're really into cars. Like, well, what if we do like a car project of some sort? So we, like, kind of over-ambitiously embarked on this Porsche 911 restoration project, and bought an old tub car, fixed it up over the process of like 3 years, and got it all super dialed in. And through doing that, I became a member of the Porsche Club. And, you know, part of that is they rent local racetracks, and they say, well, come on down, and, you know, we'll have one of our trained instructors teach you how to drive your car on a racetrack, you know, in a controlled circumstances or whatever. So I started doing that and really enjoyed it, and doing a little bit of autocross stuff. And I pretty quickly realized, like, you know, this is, I'm going to fuck this car up for sure. I'm going to put this thing into a wall or something. So I started to look at building on another car. So I bought a Volkswagen Corrado, and basically just kind of started, oh, you know, we'll put a different muffler on it. And, oh, we'll do this or that. And, you know, 5 years later, I've got a fully gutted, fully prepared race car that I can race in pretty much any league I want. Things have escalated for me driving wise. I've done increasingly crazier and more difficult events, and acquired some racing licenses and stuff.
Nice.
And I'm currently racing in SCCA majors in the SPU category.
What's the FPU stand for?
So yeah, super production under 3.2.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. It's super fun. I just needed something outside of glass. You know, like, everybody that I know is glass people,
mm-hmm.
and every one of them says the same thing. Like, oh, I love glass. Oh, it is blah glass. You know, blah blah blah, glass. Tell me about glass. And you know, that's cool, but like, at the end of the day, that kind of makes for boring people. They don't have anything to talk about, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
When you're ready to shut the torch off and, like, talk about something else, like, a lot of these folks don't have a whole lot to say. So I kind of, I saw the danger in being uninteresting, if you will, and wanted to avoid that. So I was just like, I needed some kind of fucking hobby of some sort here. And racing just kind of popped up as something that kind of fit, and my obsession with cars just kind of grew and grew and grew, and it's pretty nuts, man. I'm sponsored completely by pipe companies and trade shows and pipe shops, so I'm 100% off of the glass industry fueled,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good for sure. And I mean, we're looking at like 2018, possibly 2019, running Pirelli World Challenge, which is like pro racing, like on TV and stuff.
Badass.
So, it's kind of crazy. It's all happened really fast, and I never really, I didn't like grow up being like, I want to be a race car driver.
Right.
You know? Just kind of occurred this way. But man, I fucking love it. I definitely couldn't do just one, you know, like, even if I could make a living racing, I don't think it would make me very happy. I think I definitely need glass, but, man, you want to talk about like blowing off some steam, like getting out of the shop.
Yeah.
Like that's the way to do it for sure.
Hell yeah. And then I saw you tell me today you're doing slot cars last night, so you are all about the racing no matter what size and scale.
Oh man, I'm so stupid with the cars. Yeah, I have a giant slot car track here at the school, and I'm on this league called Tiny Riders. It's actually 10 seasons deep now.
No shit.
One of my other buddies on the league has a track at his house too. It's like a 4-lane track. I've got a 2-lane track here, so we go 1 week his place, 1 week my place. But it's nice. I mean, it's like anything. It's like, you know, a little club and a little reason to get together with some of the homies, and burn something every Tuesday. So I don't know. It's not so bad. I race remote control cars too, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm
obsessed.
Got a truck too. I'm ridiculous with car stuff. I don't know.
It's cool though, man. I'm all about it myself. I love it. I love like going and doing go-kart racing and shit. So I definitely have an appreciation for it. I was in a NASCAR for a little bit. Just I appreciate what goes into it. I'm not like a redneck NASCAR fan per se, but I definitely enjoy it. And because like I had a '74 Beetle, I drove around for a couple of years, so I know what it means to be tight or loose when you're doing 80 miles an hour on the interstate with semi trucks driving by you.
Oh man, absolutely.
It sucks. So
well, it's crazy. Like, so much of that stuff you don't really realize. Like, from doing track driving and stuff like that, I've incorporated so much of it into muscle memory that, like, if something crazy happens on the highway, I don't even hesitate. Just like doing a 90 mile an hour lane change, no problem at all. Like,
yeah, totally. That's good shit.
Where you're never in that situation ever driving on the road, so you don't flex a muscle, you're not going to build it up. So,
yeah, exactly.
It works exactly the same way with driving.
Yeah, man. Well,
I love it. It keeps my powder dry, is what I say.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Like I drive a Prius now, and when I was looking for a newer car, I had a Camry that had like 400,000 miles on it. And it had a
Holy cow.
Yeah, dude, the thing, it ran like a fucking champ. It had a 6-cylinder in it. I could do like 120 on the highway and give it gas, and it'd pick up and go and do like 160, like no problem. So,
holy shit.
Because I'm like that, dude. Like if there's an incident going on, I gotta be able to slam my gas pedal down and get the fuck out of it, type of thing. There's nothing worse than giving a car gas and it just goes slower, So when I test drove these cars, man, this little fucking I got a little Prius C, and it's ballsy for this little hybrid battery-powered car or whatever, type of thing. I'm really...
That electric torque, man.
Yeah, exactly.
More torque than anything, for sure.
Yeah, it's stoked on it, so... Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to drive a Prius, but I've definitely been in them. And, I think, like, my friends have a tendency, like, when I get in their car to be like, oh, yeah, check this out, fucking Prius, man. Like, everybody wants to smash it when I'm in the car. Like,
I'm sure.
It's fine by me, but so like I tend to get the totally to the floor demonstration on most of the cars I ride in, and I will say it was definitely zippier than I expected, no doubt about it.
The weird thing is you can't rev the engine though. Like the guy's like, yeah, there's no engine to rev really.
Really?
Yeah, you can't rev it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's the strangest thing. Yeah, because like I can do up to 25 miles an hour on the battery, unless I give it gas like right away, then the gas kicks on. But I can just cruise around.
Oh, I see. Like at a stoplight or something, if you smash the gas, the engine would kick on, but otherwise not until you hit 25.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, but it's fun.
Huh.
And I get like 80 miles a gallon or some crazy shit.
That's nuts. So. Yeah, man. think my race car gets about maybe 9. But I actually run regular pump gas in there, so I'm not that damaging to the environment.
Right. But that's a badass car,
The
though,
way
man.
I look at it, I mean, I don't commute to work. And, I mean, sometimes there's 3 days where I don't leave the school. I'm just here lurking, blowing glass, and, like, going upstairs, chilling out. So, the way I look at it, I've got a little bit less of a carbon impact during most of my week. So Saturday and Sunday, I can burn a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Minus all the off gas from
Balance
your glass and your torch and, all that fun shit.
Well, yeah, there's that, I guess, but yeah.
I always find it funny, though, man. It's like one of those weird things, like we're all like, we try to be as conscious as we can, like, about ourselves and about the environment, but it's like, this career choice we have is dirty.
Just throw some more dinosaur bones on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had Mike Souza on. He's the glass blower over at Princeton University, and he was talking about a guy.
Sure, yeah, I'm familiar. Yep.
Yeah, he's a badass, and he was saying I had him on the show, and I forget the guy's name, but he was asked like what size of carbon footprint he thought he was going to leave, and the guy's like the size of Rhode Island. So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
and not.
That's about right, man.
Hopefully one day, though, somebody comes up and like has a recycling plant that can take all our Boro scraps that we toss in the garbage or something.
I'm waiting for the laser torch. That's what I've been waiting for this whole time. Is just some kind of like totally no radiant heat, just like a wicked hot laser.
Yeah, I like that. That's a badass
idea. It works
idea.
the same way. You got
it makes total sense.
Backer behind it or something.
Right. Yeah. So it doesn't. Yeah, it makes sense.
Get on that. Work on that. For me if you don't mind.
Yeah, I will. I'll call Mike Souza. Him and I can talk about it. He's got connections. Awesome, dude. Well, yeah, man. Well, I guess this is a good time for us to take a quick break and thank our sponsors, and then we'll come back, and it'll be time for us to crash the kiln.
Sounds good.
This segment of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Dude Fitness. Lose 10 pounds this month by joining the Zen Dude Fitness 4-week jump rope fat loss challenge. Brandon and Dan will take you on a guided journey towards becoming the best you. Get fit, have fun, and find new ways to eat healthy while still enjoying the sweeter side of life. Just takes 20 to 30 minutes a day and no gym required. For more info and to sign up for the free 4-week challenge, go to wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. That's wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. All right, man, so it's time for us to crash the kiln, and the crash the kiln round consists of 7 questions. And you can give me a 30 to 60-second answer. You can also expound upon them as well as people usually do. And the first question, the first question I always like to ask is if there is any living glass artist that you have not worked with yet. Who is it and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Man, I have been really lucky and have worked with so many of my heroes. I'm super thankful for that. Totally random, but it would be Lino, I think.
Cool.
He's just so different from everybody in our scene, and yeah, I can't imagine. But yeah, that would be Lino for sure.
Yeah, awesome. If you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, what is it?
Tink.
Cool. Oh yeah, I would like to say it could be like a visceral, emotional response or an actual sound, but tink works for me.
Yep. Yeah, I would say. I don't know, man. Tink just really kind of like cuts through me for sure. Like I'll put something in the kiln and like go up to my little lounge hangout area upstairs from the shop, and I can hear it all like tink, like all the way through, and that's not the kiln ramping on. That's glass breaking.
It's the worst sound ever. And you're like, is that on my bench or is that in the kiln? What's going on? And usually it like magnifies through your blowpipe, so it's like a little speaker playing it for everybody.
Yeah, that's interesting how that works, right?
Yeah, it sucks. What are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Oof. Oh, man, that's a tough one. I'm going to give you a weird one for my number 1 because it's such a workhorse. Glass Alchemy Eclipse.
Okay.
Love that color, man. Lip wraps, Millis, stays super black when you stretch it out, health, and I love Eclipse.
Nice.
Man, beyond that, I'm gonna have to roll with the hype is destroying it right now. Like the Glass Alchemy Terps, the North Star number 19 experimental. That's kind of like blue purple. It's dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, serum's cool, but I feel like we've seen a ton of it. And beyond that, I really like mystery adventure is really fun.
Yeah, me too.
Some of those sparkly colors too.
Yeah.
A 5?
Yep,
that's 5 or not.
That's 5. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. What's your worst injury in the studio?
Worst injury in the okay. So I taught a class at Glasscraft like 3 years ago or something. It was like when I was there to record a webinar, and this was like shortly after they legalized weed in Colorado, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be super responsible. I'm not going to get all fucked up for my class. And, you know, I smoke weed, you know, like regularly. And I woke up and I was like, nope, I'm not smoking anything. I'm going to go teach this class. We're going to have a great day, blah, blah, blah. And I got to the class and I was all frazzled. And I was like scatterbrained from not being stoned.
Mm-hmm.
And and started chopping a bunch of 15 mil rods. And sure enough, boom, sliced through like a big chunk of my knuckle. Like it was a really bad cut. And I didn't have insurance or Obamacare or anything at the time. And it was like, well, shit, what are we going to do? So they were like, yeah, we've got like a friend that was a nurse, like back in the day. She's like retired. And they like called her and she like super nicely came down and like scrubbed out my wound. And like we went and bought some super glue and we super glued that shit shut and taped it up. And the class resumed 2 hours late, but we rocked the entire thing out. I made a really cool Donkey Kong Milli, one of my favorite Millis I've ever made, honestly.
That's
like
too
with
funny.
A total super bandaged hand, like not really able to turn punnies.
Did you actually cut it on camera, or was that like before you started the process?
That was not on camera. No, that was like doing the prep right before that.
Yeah, thank goodness. Man.
Yeah, no fun.
Yeah, Jesus. You do you have any glass blowing themed tattoos?
No, I have a bunch of tattoos, but no glass blowing tattoos. That's probably, I haven't been tattooed in a long time, and that's probably one that's long overdue, but hasn't happened yet.
Right on. Should do like a whole Mario scene.
just
because, you know.
I've got a lot of Mario in my life. I've got like the entire wall of my shop, which is like, I don't know, 15 feet high and probably a good 30, maybe 40 feet long, is a huge, huge Mario mural. So,
hell yeah.
I've got a lot of it in my life.
Yeah, I saw the picture on your Instagram with Rashawn and Germ in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's badass. Yeah, dude, speaking of Germ, dude,
Thanks.
Jeremy's fucking got his hands full, huh?
Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, between solo work and managing his 1,000 Cranes thing, I don't know how he does it. I saw him in Vegas for AGE last week. He seems like he's doing good, though. So
yeah, dude, like I had him on the show, and he's
big
like,
up to Germ.
Yeah, man, he's definitely got his hands full, but I'm super proud of him for taking this initiative to do something for himself, like in a spiritual, you know, type of sense of doing this process, and it may change our industry. I mean, for the fact that he's going to have this amazing collection of work that he can hang up in this gallery as an installation, like it's going to be fucking crazy to see it.
Well, I don't think anybody's really taken that approach yet, so it's kind of cool to see it happening. I'm really curious to see how it's all going to come out.
Yeah, same here.
I know it's going to be a lot of work, but he can. I'm confident he can pound through it. I mean, 1,000's a big number, though. I've never made 1,000 of anything. Maybe Fritz spoons, but they were certainly weren't serious.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, bro. I've got probably 100,000 Fritz spoons and wrapping ricks under my belt.
Right?
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, man, I don't even know. I probably got a few thousand Fritz spoons under my belt.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? But hey, now you're a badass, and that's probably because of those Fritz spoons, so that's what it's all
well,
about.
I don't know about that.
Pay your dues, man. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, I suppose so. I
Yeah.
suppose so.
So the last question I always like to ask, which is I'm still working on this question, so bear with me here. But if you were stranded on an island that had a glass-blowing studio on it that supplied your gases, your kiln, your torch, and also your glasses, that glasses was one item everybody forgot, so I had to include those in there.
Ah, okay.
And you had to make something that you had to use to survive with. What 5 items would you bring to make said thing?
Like we're looking for tools, basically?
Yeah, tools, material, whatever you think you need to create whatever this is.
Boy, I think we need tweezers. We need a graphite paddle. We need a small brass reamer. Do we have an igniter or a lighter or something?
No, but you can use flint, like rocks or some shit you find.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Scoring rod. Boy, that's a tough one. Like, because I mean, it's basically like, what tools can you make the widest array of things with?
Yeah, exactly.
And usable things. You're talking about cups and pitchers, and is there wild herb growing on the island, Mon?
There could be.
That's what we want to know. Do we got to make? Do we got to make perks and stuff?
No,
because I mean,
yeah, you could have stumbled upon like an island that was a farm.
So yeah, I mean, So for that reason, we're gonna need graphite paddle, scoring rod, octagonal reamer, and you might have to throw a grabber in there, and tweezers. There you go.
Perfect. Hell yeah, dude. Good shit. Yeah, it's always one of those things. I might actually change it to like, what are your 5 favorite tools? Or, something like that to make it more simplified.
It's hard to. I don't know. I don't know how to advise you on how to word it differently. I get the gist of what you're saying, but it's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to do the whole, bullshit. Stranded on an island, what 5 albums, kind of thing. I'm trying to make it unique. So, but
on a side note, have you ever heard of Lawrence Stump did a demo way back, like at IGS, I think, where he had a fork, a knife, and a spoon that he took like from the mess hall of the cafeteria, and he was like had the audience call out stuff, like name whatever you want, and he'd make it.
Interesting.
Pretty crazy demo.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what, dude? A spoon and a knife are my 2 favorite tools that I use.
Yeah, I mean, for sculpting, that's absolutely critical. And the fork, you can get into like little openings and widen them up and stuff too. So, yeah, crucial stuff.
Yeah, it's neat. Hell yeah, man. Well, before we let you go, if you can give our audience some kind of parting piece of advice, and then where we can find you out there in the world of cyberspace.
Yeah, I'm at microsworkshop.com, and you can find me on Instagram at microsworkshop. In terms of a parting piece of advice, I mean, I don't know that I can really give you a whole lot of advice other than to absolutely be patient. None of this stuff happens very quickly, and I think it's really easy to get frustrated and throw in the towel. Just kind of remember to stick with this stuff, and every day sharpen your sword a little bit more. Eventually you're going to get there.
Hell yeah. Yeah, well said. Yeah. And one more thing before I forgot, I meant to ask you, where'd your name come from? Not Paul, but your micro name.
That's actually a pretty good question. So I owned a gallery for many years and made like legit art, I guess you could say, like, paperweights and jewelry and all that kind of stuff like that you would see in a typical gallery. And my buddy Lucan got into pipes all of a sudden and kind of blew up real quick, and was telling me, oh, yeah, I wrote this article for the Flow, and I'm going to start calling myself Salt. And I'm making these pipes as like a secret thing, like nobody knows it's me. But it's like all on the side and blah, blah, blah. And, you should check it out. And it's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And 6 months went by, and the hype kind of built even more and more. And the article came out, and everybody loved it. And he's like, man, you got to get on this. You got to start making pipes. I'm telling you, start working on this. So I did, and I was like, well, what am I gotta have, like a nom de plume, if you will. Your salt, like what am I gonna be? We got to come up with something here. Help me out. And he's like, came up with like a whole list of names actually, and Micro was like totally his choice, but the second runner was Chip Stackswell. So like I could have been that, but I wasn't. So I just liked how succinct and simple the word micro is. So yeah, and for small detailed work, I think it lends itself to it. So yeah, it stuck certainly, and I feel like I've definitely assimilated it into my identity now for sure.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I think it's pretty cool. And that was another thing I was going to bring up, talking about like the jams you guys used to do, doing like the bead shows and stuff back in the day. But that's a whole other topic for another day. So
it is. That's okay. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't know if I can. I mean, just real quick, like that's kind of basically how a lot of the people that are really doing well in the pipe scene basically got their start, was doing all these bead shows, and like the Tucson Best Bead Show and Best Bead Show in Milwaukee. And, these are people that made jewelry and things like that were already really used to doing super fine detail work. And then the pipe scene kind of came along and presented new objects for all of these people to make. So all of that energy that was getting put into jewelry got put into pipes. So that's like, how you see like Andrew Brown, Carver B, Harold Cooney, Salt, Captain Crunk, Jared DeLong, Piper Dan, all these people, Rashawn Jones, all these people are all old school, bead and jewelry people really that kind of transferred at one point. So, I don't know. I'm super thankful to be included in this scene or whatever. It was pretty sweet to shift from a scene where like, as a guy with tattoos and stuff, I'm wearing like button-up shirts and trying to hide my tattoos and like, oh, hello, yes, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. And like, all the clientels are like, I don't know, they're 60 and older ladies for the most part, to where, pipe shows that we're doing now, it's like, you can definitely let your tattoos hang out. That's the least of anyone's concern, and you can absolutely be yourself and swear in front of people, and you don't have to present a false image of yourself, with your work, where as a square artist, if you will, I was always just like so nervous, like at all times. So yeah, I don't know. Definitely feels good to be a part of this scene, much more than any other, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Well, yeah, dude. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm thankful for you being here, dude, and being a part of this community and inspiring all of us with all your work you've been doing over the years, and this dedication that you have to this line and series. Like, you're saying 7 years now. You're getting going on this series, so that's some serious dedication.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
And thanks for having me on the show. I'm definitely honored to be a guest on the podcast. Look forward to hearing it for sure.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, I hope you all enjoyed our chit chat with Paul, and definitely check him out on Instagrams and all the social feeds. I'll have all his links and connections on the show notes. And we'll talk to you next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Y'all take care. Peace.
Man's inhumanity to man, all those things cause complication in creation. See, the domination of one nation to another nation, all those things cause complication. See.
Blue skies gone away, fast clouds them up there, crisscrossing so straight, like Google to wonder dissipate, clear sky's gone away. Fast clouds like every day, commercial or military, either way. It's obvious to me that them spray. Look up, man, just look up and you see it. Not gonna draw no man, no way them do it. It's a part of a plan, an attempt to deplete, compromise I and I immunity. Look up, man, it's so easy to see. You pay attention, it's easy to see. Modification, them I take it lightly, but them human just like you and me. Or maybe? Aluminum, particulate them fill me lungs. Sick every month and they better not come. Control the population or try control the season. Do anything them can to advance to type 1. Convince the people chemicals of condensation. Oh, the conference, the sugar coat the truth like confections. From down here we can see that it's a cover up conception. So me standing up in objection.
We the youths have to rise up and see in this time.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Glassroots Art Show. Now entering its 9th year, Glassroots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. Located at the Monona Terrace Convention Center on beautiful Lake Monona in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, the art show features at least 25 glassworkers demonstrating and creating pieces for public viewing, live and silent auctions, raffles, and approximately 40 booths consisting of raw material supplies, functional and non-functional art, and glass charitable organizations. This year, in 2017, Glassroots will be held October 9th through the 11th, and for any more information, just go to glassrootsartshow.com. That's glassrootsartshow.com. This episode is also brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. This has been accomplished by developing relationships with the finest artists and sharing their techniques with you through in-depth, step-by-step tutorials. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.